is Ryan Murphy. I'm the co-creator of Glee. I'm here today at the annual Chrysalis event. Thrilled to be here.
Thank you so much for being here and for taking the time to support such an amazing organization. I'd like to begin by learning a little bit about how you learned about Chrysalis and came to be involved with it.
You know, I learned about it because I'm really good friends with Dana Walden and Rebecca Gayheart, and 2 years ago they were kind enough to say, why don't you just come to this event and I think you'd love it and see how it is and learn about the group. And I came as a guest. I was very sort of moved by it, and since then I've been involved. And then Dana Walden called me this year because she is my boss, but one of my good friends, and said, you know, would you be honored? I think that what Glee is about is what this group is about, and I, didn't hesitate and said absolutely yes, I will.
So one of the things that really is important is that you have been involved with the organization and done work. A lot of charities out there are doing amazing work, but this one kind of has a unique spin. It's less about let's give and more about let's hold people accountable as well. And I'd love for you to talk a little bit about what your perception is of Chrysalis and the work that they do, why it's so important.
I think what they do is so important, and I had to educate myself, and Dana and I did a tour of the facility. I got to meet the directors, and then more importantly, actually, we went down sort of Skid Row, where so many homeless families and women, and particularly children, are. Lines and lines and lines for hours to get a bed, to get a shower, to get a job interview, to do anything, to sort of, I was very moved by it. And the thing that I was the most impressed about Chrysalis is it's not just here's a job, because I think when you just give something to somebody, they many times fail and get defeated and
take it for granted.
Take it for granted, and I think so many people, 80% of the people I think have had cycles of addiction, so it's very hard to break that cycle. But what I loved about it, the group particularly, was it's like you had to earn the job. You had to sort of learn how to do interviews. You had to learn how to do a resume. You had to learn how to hold responsibility many times after years and years and years of not doing that. And it was very proactive, which I liked. It wasn't a handout. It literally felt like a fresh start, but you had to get your pride first before you got the opportunity, and that's what I was moved by the most.
When it comes to you really wanting to help people understand homelessness and really not judge people based on circumstance, but really challenge those assumptions and those preconceived notions, why is that so important? Homeless people are really challenged by the idea that people think they're lazy or people think that they just don't want to work. So why is it so important to break those preconceived notions to help people?
I certainly in my life have fallen guilty to that as somebody who, came from Indiana and came here with nothing and, worked really hard. It's very easy to say, well, work harder. Mm-hmm. Work harder. I worked hard. And I think that most of America would at some point say that. Then you talk to people and you hear their stories and you hear the pain and beauty of their stories. Like, we spoke to a woman who was doing really great and was in love, and then her husband got cancer, and then he died, and they had no health care, and then she got kicked out of her house, and she didn't have family.
Eunice, amazing lady.
Who was being honored. And when you hear something like that, you're like, oh, I'm not that many steps removed from that happening, You're really not. No one is. I don't care who you are. Particularly in the economic environment that we live in and the unstable bank situation. So I was like, oh, I really get it. Like, everyone has a moving story, and it's not just about a mass group. It's about individual faces within.
Always got to look at the individuals.
Yeah.
You're an employer, so you're about giving opportunities to really diverse folks. A big part of what Chrysalis is also doing is connecting with employers, is saying give people a chance who typically wouldn't get a chance. Why is that important? What suggestions do you have on how employers who might be watching this can say, you know what, I would have never considered hiring this kind of person, but maybe I will in fact give them a second look. Any perspective on that?
I mean, I can only speak for myself, but one of the things that I'm saying tonight, and when I'm being honored, when I'm accepting, is I was so moved by the stories of people who have had a really bad run of luck and many times have had, prison time, and everybody has a past, and I think it's human nature to want a fresh start, and these people want so badly to have a fresh start. I would say look at that, and one of the things that I'm saying tonight is, we're providing at Glee and on the Paramount lot 4 jobs in the next year for people.
That's
Because
amazing.
when I toured the facility, my favorite thing by far was, somebody gets a job and they ring the bell.
Talk a little bit about that. What is ringing the bell all about?
Ringing the bell, when you tour the facilities, there's a beautiful bell and nobody's allowed to touch it. And when somebody gets a job, everybody gathers in the main room and they ring that bell. And it is a moment of celebration, not just for the individual, but for the group. Somebody got a job. We're so
It's
proud
amazing.
of you.
And it also inspires others to raise their game a little bit, perhaps.
Yeah, and it's like, I think so many times with people who are down on their luck, they have hopelessness. And I've certainly had moments like that. And people can inspire you by the smallest things, and I thought that was so inspiring. I spoke to Dana. I was like, I want a couple of rings of that bell.
That's really
What are
incredible.
the things we're doing?
And thank you so much for your service, for years of great television, from
You're
Popular
very
to
kind.
Glee and beyond,
Thank
and
you.
wish you continued success.